Okay, so just had a pretty decent right-handed practice session, working on some of the stuff that Larry's given me to start to sequence the golf swing a bit better, use the bigger muscles, the lower body versus being all arms. And I figured I might as well give myself a little crack at another driver session. As I said, the weather's starting to improve here, and I'm starting to think about playing a couple rounds of right-handed golf, you know, in the spring and in the summer, just to kind of test myself and see how this project is going. So with that in mind, I am going to need to have at least a couple woods in the bag, going to need to have a driver, probably a hybrid or something, and eventually wedges too. So I figured I might start a little process of, you know, self-fitting myself for a driver that I'll use for the first, you know, bit of the season and hopefully last me through 2022. So mechanics-wise and how the swing feels, it's still got a long way to go. I've only had, you know, the 4 or 5 lessons with Larry, but I kind of want to start testing myself and seeing realistically what I could do on the golf course and what type of driver might be suitable for me to go out and have a little bit of fun and, you know, hit some decent drives and keep the ball in play. So I'll probably do a series on this, mainly because I don't think I can hit more than, you know, 20 drives right-handed before I start to get really tired, and the results will just be kind of nonsense. So I just want to keep it super simple. For today, I'm going to start with a TSI-2. It's a 10 degree. It's got one of the stock shafts in it. It's a Kurokaji 50 gram stiff. Again, this is not going to be the only thing I do. It's just going to be a session to start to get some baseline numbers, understand my tendencies a bit, and then I can get through Callaway and Ping and Cobra drivers, whatever you guys want to see me try, you know, in the right-handed swing. And see how this thing develops and hopefully find myself something I can use on the golf course, you know, in the next 6 to 8 weeks. It's pretty typical for me. So one thing I'll definitely be fighting is similar to what I have with the iron swing. I definitely tend to get very in to out with the swing and hit kind of the sweepy draw. And a lot of that comes from, like what we talked about, it's from getting the arms too low early, sort of hanging back and trying to lift the ball up in the air. So really all I'm going to be focusing on here is, you know, letting the arms be a bit more passive, using the lower body to generate it, and then finish into my lead side a bit better. That's better. A couple of hooks to start, but that one's got some pep to it. Ooh, I like that. Not bad. Definitely hanging back on it a little bit. It's a better swing in terms of the, you know, the path was a little more neutral. It's a better attempt. Better strike too, a little bit lower in the face, more out of the center. So I think one thing I'm seeing early is this shaft in here is a little bit over 45 inches. Not a big fan of that to start with, so I think I'll definitely want to go with something no more than 45. The longer it is, I think just the more in to out I'm going to get, and I'm obviously going to be fighting that enough as it is. Loft-wise, I may want to go up a little bit in loft, or I may want to try something that just launches the ball a bit higher. So I think this has given me a good baseline. I mean, it's shown me what I'm capable of. That one that I really connected with nicely with this shot. I can get the club head speed up to, you know, 107, 108. I can get the ball speed to 150. You know, happy with that. Let me just quickly try something that puts a little bit more spin on the ball and has a little bit shorter shaft, and let's see what that does. You know, a Ping driver, most people know, is a very forgiving driver, especially for someone, you know, starting out in the game like I am right-handed. This is the max model, so it's going to put a little bit more spin and height on the ball, which I need. It's going to be probably one of the most forgiving drivers on miss hits. We pretty much see that every year. And I think for me, because I am tending to get handsy and shut the face, I'm going to put the weight in the fade setting, and I'm just going to see what that does for me. I've gone a little bit heavier with the shaft. This is a 65 gram. It's a stiff, so sort of more similar to what I would play with the irons in terms of a progression. And this one's right at 45, so it's a little bit less of that long and flexible feeling. Again, the brands of the drivers, the shafts and stuff, I'm not getting too focused on, you know, what everything is. I'm not picking one brand over the other. I just want to experiment with, you know, the type of head and the type of combinations that work well for me. This is really just a first experimental session, and then, as I said, I want to make this a bit of a series where as my swing develops, you know, I can pick out a driver, but I need to have an idea of what my driver swing does with some different combinations first. Interesting. Yeah, right away that's a very different ball flight. Now I heel struck that a bit. which helped it not turn over. So I can't say it was all the club weight. You know, that's me just completely turning my hands over and smothering it. But to be fair, as poor of a swing and a strike as that was, I mean, the head really let me get away with that. Okay. It's not a terrible shot. I just really felt myself hang back. Yeah, boy, does that feel good. Again, I think I struck that kind of high, but I just find this ping head just really lets you get away with that. I think that spin is pretty under control. Yeah, spin's under control, high launch. Yeah, that's the difference for me so far. So when I struck that, I was kind of worried that I hit a big hook low left. And even with that strike being high, I just think the ping really lets me get away with that strike. It's a low strike. That's all just me. I think I overcompensated there a bit. It's okay. Yeah, I mean, this is the best right-handed drives I've ever hit are with this ping so far. I mean, those swings aren't perfect by any means, but I've really had some crazy good results, you know, on the better strikes. A little bit high center there again. All right, a couple to finish with a lower tee. I think rightfully the comments would have been full of people telling me to tee it lower. I agree. I mean, most of my good swings were quite a bit high of center, and part of that is the sequence, obviously. If you get a little bit handsy and ahead of it, you will deliver sort of the high part of the face more, but it would only stand to reason that based on what I'm seeing, I should test some with a bit lower tee. Should help me not be so extreme into out and up as well. So let's see what this does with a slightly lower tee height and see if we can finish with a couple good ones. Actually really happy with that. There's a little bit heel side on the strike. To me, that's just a much more controlled ball flight for the golf course though. Yeah, I mean, I can't complain about that. I did somehow manage to hit that high in the face even with the lower tee, but the result is awfully good. I'm gonna move the ball a little bit further forward in my stance. I have a feeling, Larry told me at one point it was creeping too far back. It's kind of the opposite of what I do with my left-handed swing, so I'm gonna feel it more inside my left heel. See if I can help that strike a little bit. Just get that strike down the head a little bit. It's too high. Yeah, much better strike. Okay, I think that's what this driver will do relatively centered. It's a little high center, but the lower tee definitely helped. Definitely the best results I've had with the driver so far, hitting right-handed. Now, the TSI 2 that I hit, by no means is this video to say that that's not a good driver. That's not at all what I was trying to say. I started with it as a nice baseline. Just wanted to use stock shafts to keep it simple for you guys. An example with that one, a little bit long, I think at the stock length, a little bit too flexible and light. Kind of encouraged me to get worse in my bad habits in terms of being too inside out. So the easy change there was going a bit shorter, a little bit heavier, a little bit stiffer. That seems to help with the shaft side of the fit. And then when it comes to the club head, I think Ping, obviously in the Max model G425, it would be hard to argue that any other company has quite as much strike forgiveness as Ping does. I think they've been that way for quite some time. So there's great drivers out there. They're all really, really forgiving this year. But I think as a new golfer, knowing what I know about club heads over the past 4 years, this was an easy one for me to kind of start the test with. And I think the little toe weight was helpful there. That's not something that every driver has. It's a bit unique to someone like me where my miss is a hook. A lot of people's miss is the opposite, and it's nice that you can move that weight into the heel. So as I said, this is by no means me saying this Ping's better than that Titleist. I think just for now, the way I'm swinging, I think so far this looks like a pretty good fit. I'm obviously still going to try some different options from Cobra, probably the standard stealth model. Be curious what that does for me right-handed, and then the Callaway, the Max model, which I've tinkered with a little bit Be curious to see what that does as well. So as I mentioned, this is really just the beginning of the series, fitting myself for a driver. I want to get something I can take out with me on the golf course and play some right-handed rounds as the weather gets better in the next few weeks. So let me know what you guys think. If there's some combinations you want to see me try, if there's something that you think would work well for me, as long as I have access to it, I'm happy to try it and make as many of these videos as I can before the season starts.